Hello and welcome to Love, Peace, Truth, Karma. I'm your host, Leanne Brown, and today I've got the amazing Dimple Thakrar. She is an executive alignment coach. She is the author of 2 books. One is Your Food to Freedom, all about the emotional connection we have to food. And the second one, which is a secret, but we're going to discuss it today, is For Men, about men and their journey, but not just only that, it is or women will benefit from reading this. I've read it. I was in tears. It resonated with me so much. She's an amazing woman. She's even worked very closely with the amazing Tony Robbins. You're going to hear all about it in the podcast. So I hope you enjoy it.
If you're in China, you just know it's corrupt. They want it to be like that here.
People are pretending to be 12-year-old kids, mate, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're 40-year-old men.
Now we're getting bombarded with all these death numbers, but there's no context there.
He'd got one child pregnant, he'd raped many others, and we had evidence to prove that.
Do you think evil still exists today as it did back then? And the answer should very simply be yes.
So Dimple, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for reaching out to me and, connecting with me. It is like you say, you're just drawn into people's energies and to make the magic happen. And here we are.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you've got an amazing story, which we obviously spoke on the phone briefly about. I mean, we want to go into all of it. But the new book,
Yay!
which I've just read, and like I messaged you, it was honestly amazing reading it, and it resonated so much with so many aspects of my life. And I know it's a book for men.
Yes.
And we don't want to reveal the name just yet, as you said, it's a mystery, but it is incredible. And although it is for men, I feel like it is for women as well, because it's been written from a woman's perspective. And that's why obviously it resonated with me. Everything like that I was reading, I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, I can see that in my husband. And, there's so many things. But before we get into the book too deeply and the contents of it, I do just want to get to know Dimple.
Aww.
And, you talked about your past, and you had a tough time, didn't you? Quite a difficult upbringing. So tell us about that.
Oh, thanks. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me, Leanne. And thank you for trusting your intuition as well, because I randomly reached out to you on Instagram and you trusted.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just magic, because that's what happens when it's effortless. It's meant to be, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We were both available at that moment to have a conversation.
Yeah, true.
And, and so that's the first message that I want to get out to people, is that, if it's going to happen, it will happen effortlessly. Don't push.
Yes. And that's good advice for me, actually.
Yeah, just don't push, because
I do tend to worry a lot and try to then
make
want
it
things.
happen.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a thing called divine timing that I've learned through all my struggles.
Yes.
Right? That you meet people at exactly the right moment for a reason, that if you can just let go of having to know why.
Yeah. Surrender.
Right? Because the moment you let go of having to know why is the moment that the universe gives you exactly what you need in that moment. And if you try and guess it and control it, you're only going to cap your success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It's going to make me emotional, honestly. I've already said to you I'm a bit emotional, like walking in, and even what you're saying now, it's like great advice to me right at this moment as well in time with oh wow.
Yeah.
Go on.
So the story,
get yourself together.
I know, and it's okay to not be together is the other thing.
Yes.
Right?
Oh God, stop. This is going to be like a therapy session.
It's okay not to be, because, and it's so interesting. We were just having a conversation just before we got started, and, asking me how many podcast interviews I've done. And, in this year alone, I can't even remember, but probably about 30, right?
Yeah, wow.
And each one is different. And the reason it's different is because I trust my intuition.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I just know that I'll be guided to deliver what is needed
in
that moment, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you ask me about my story, yes, my life has not been the most plain sailing.
No.
But every moment of it, when I look back now, I am the woman I am because of it, right?
Yeah.
And I went through, I would say, the first 30 years of my life blaming everybody else for it, right? So if I give you a little synopsis, I don't want to go too deep because I don't dwell on the past.
Yeah.
But a synopsis is I was conceived in Africa, and at a time when my mother was 7 months pregnant with me, she had a 5-year-old, and overnight she was kicked out of Africa with President Amin, literally guns held to their heads.
Wow.
Just, you leave now or you die.
Wow.
They were multi-millionaires there. They left overnight. Dad chose to stay behind and try and get everything that he could. And Mum had to leave overnight with my grandma, her mother-in-law, and not know if she'd see her husband again, and come to a country where she didn't speak the language. She was, how old was she? 25. She didn't speak the language.
And
Pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 5-year-old.
Jeez.
And, so I was born into refugeeism, like not belonging, not knowing, and I felt all the trauma and took on all the trauma that Mum experienced while I was in her, right?
Of course, and people don't realise that happens as well in the womb, isn't it?
So much.
Womb trauma.
Womb trauma, and that's a lot of the healing work that I do with people. They don't know to heal that because they don't realise that actually it's not theirs, it's their parents that they're holding on to.
And then it's passed on from generation to
is ancestral, right?
Yeah.
And so that happened, and this is I say this with absolute love and respect to my family. Mum was physically and emotionally abused throughout the first decade of her marriage, including when she was pregnant with me. And so she was left in a place where, the source of her abuse was her mother-in-law, my grandma.
Oh, wow.
And she was the one that instigated a lot of the physical abuse. And, God rest her soul, I don't speak illy of her. That was all she knew. And that was, in the time, that was the norm.
Yeah.
And so coming from that experience, and like the first childhood memory is of my mum's blood on the walls. So there's a lot there. And anyway, cut a long story short, let's forward it on to, living through that. Then at 13, going through a perfectionism, and because I was the only one that wasn't physically abused, the whole trauma around, well, I need to be a good girl so that way I'll stay safe. So I was an A-star student in school. I then wanted to have the perfect body in the media. And so I begun the whole self-destructive anorexia nervosa.
Okay.
And I ended up being half the size I am at the moment. And I reached a turning point where I remember being in the doctor's, at the doctor's, I was 13. And I remember being at the doctor's and the doctor saying to me, "You have a choice, Dimple. At this point, there is a road. You have a choice. And that choice is, do you go down the road of self-destruct and we hospitalise you now because your body's shutting down? Or," and I remember it distinctly, it was like a flash, it was like almost like an angel coming to me and saying, "Or do you go down the road of truth and you find out what the truth is about nutrition, not what the media and the influencers publish, but what the truth is." So I had a choice. Do I hit self-destruct, or do I seek the truth? And the core of who I am is truth. Truth and love.
Who we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And so I went down the road of becoming a dietitian.
Okay.
And I became a dietitian, and I healed myself, and I realised that actually the core of all the food and all of that is not food, that's the symptom.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the symptom.
Yeah.
And the reason you can't tell people what to eat is because until you fully understood their relationship with food, and they've understood their relationship with food, that's when the magic happens. So that's
Absolutely. That's the book
this
here.
is my first book.
Yeah.
Called Your Food Freedom.
Your Food Freedom, which I've not read yet, which I wish I had read because before this, because I think this is going to be a great read as well. Obviously, it's a great read, but
Yeah.
I think, especially as women, like I know men as well do have a difficult relationship with food and not cutting them off, but I think I just feel like women with the yo-yo dieting and the constant analysing ourselves and beating ourselves up, and like you say, it's social media and it's got a million times worse since like we were kids, because it wasn't existed realistic. It was just magazines and things.
That's
wasn't it? Now our kids have got like all this pressure to look a certain way and their filters and everything else. It's even more important for people to understand it's an emotional thing, isn't it? Definitely.
It's huge. The emotional side.
And the trauma.
And the
Dealing with the trauma, yeah.
And the perfectionism. And like you said, Leanne, today we are bombarded with the images that aren't even real.
No.
Right?
No.
So at least in the magazines, they were kind of real back then.
Well, they were very airbrushed, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? But now it's constant, instant information.
Yeah.
Right? So that I became an NLP practitioner then. I studied NLP because I felt like knowing the knowledge wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I needed to upskill. So I became an NLP practitioner, cognitive behavioural therapist. And that's where I combined in the book my own model of food freedom, which is about evidence-based nutrition, mindset, and intuitive eating.
Yes.
So the guide is within you, not outside of you, not the diet regime, not the calorie counting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what that book is about.
We all know what to eat, don't we? But,
Yeah, of course
all
we
know,
do.
Yeah, what's right for us. But as well, I feel like things that, with kids and sweets and things, like if you think of all the colours of fruits, it's the same colours of all the sweet wrappers and things. And, it's sugar is really highly addictive, isn't it? It's one of the most addictive drugs there is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's finding that balance as well. And obviously with me, with the kids, I know they eat too much sugar and rubbish and stuff like that. But yeah, it's tying it into that emotional connection as well.
Huge piece, Leanne, huge, because we focus too much on the nutrition, and what we don't focus on is what are the emotions that are attached to that?
Yes.
Are we saying to our children that sugar is bad and therefore they should be shamed and to feel guilty when they eat something sugary, right? Or are we giving them the option for them to go inwards and ask their bodies? And in the book, there's actual strategies on how to do that.
Yeah.
So you go inwards and you ask, do I want that right now?
Yeah.
Right? What do I want? And sometimes it'll be a yes, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the emotions attached to it when you're eating it are of joy and happiness.
Yes. Maybe it's just a cuddle that you want.
Maybe it's
not a bar of
just
chocolate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially with women, time of the month and stuff. That's like, I'm the worst for.
Maybe it is when we talk about love languages.
Yeah.
Mine is touch.
Yeah.
And I learned that what I was getting in comfort eating, because I went from anorexia to bulimia, which is quite common.
Mm-hmm.
What I was getting from that comfort eating was that the desire for that feeling of fullness.
Yes.
Satiety.
Yeah.
And actually that was satiety that I needed to source from within me.
Mm-hmm.
We use external influences. And so this is the work.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that was a part, I wrote that book in 2018. So it was a journey.
Yeah.
Right? This was a journey. I became a dietitian 1995. That was the year that I also got married.
Wow.
And I married the love of my life, my soulmate, my best friend. He's been there all my life. He's been there through the times when we weren't safe. He was the boy next door. He's 6 years older than me. And there were so many times that he protected me through my childhood. There were so many times that he was man enough to stop my dad physically. He stood up to him even as a young boy.
Wow.
And my dad's still alive and I've forgiven him, and he's a beautiful man. He's a beautiful man. He was just trapped in his generation of what was perceived as the norm.
Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of trauma with my dad. My dad left when I was 13, and he was abusive to my mum. And I'm still dealing with that. I think, even though I've done so much work on it, but I feel like it still does come up a lot. And obviously, with then like current relationships, and and past relationships, and definitely, it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, and I can so relate to what you're saying, because for probably the first 15 years of my marriage, I was weary and I used to protect myself, because I was like, if my husband raises his voice, I'll have him.
Yeah.
I will have him. And it was nothing to do with him. It was all my own coding from what I'd heard as a child. Right?
Yeah.
And I'd taken it out on him, and he'd say to me, I'm not your dad. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're safe. Right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready. So this is the other piece, right? We beat ourselves up for things that actually we weren't ready to learn.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of emotional inner forgiveness
Yeah.
that's had to go on in this body because my soul chose to learn this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But like you say, that's the break in the cycle, isn't it? And understanding why. And obviously when they have behaved like that, it's because, like you say, it's been passed down from the way they were treated by their parents. So they're just mirroring the same thing. And that's why it's so important that to learn not to continue it.
And rather than ask the question why, I now ask the question, what have I got to learn? Why is this being presented to me? So what have I got to learn?
Yeah.
Right? Because even like you sent me a beautiful message yesterday about my book, and I have to say I cried because the day before I got a message from a woman who, let's say, wasn't as complimentary because it triggered her.
Yes.
And she's like, you're supposed to be empowering women, right? And I had
missing the point completely.
I had to check in with myself, right? Because at first I felt like, oh my God, this is going to cause women to hate me. This is going to cause women to absolutely think that I'm against them. And I had a human moment. It took me an hour to work through that, right? It only took me an hour. Right?
Yeah.
Because I came to a place of, I asked different questions. In the past, I would have been stupid cow and she doesn't understand me. And who does she think she is? And what's wrong with her? And, I'm trying to do good in the world. And, right? I didn't go there because I didn't ask the question, why is she saying that to me? I asked a better question. And that question was, thank you. Thank you for showing me what I need to learn in this moment. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, the gratitude that I have to you today, because what you're showing me is that this book is going to make some women feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Yes.
It may not be their time to hear this, but I may have planted the seed for them in this moment.
Yes.
And it's okay. And I am big enough and strong enough to take it.
Yeah.
I'll take one for you.
Yeah.
And I'll do it again and again because my heart is about love. It's about how can we make this a better world so that we have greater role models of healthy relationships.
And that's something that really come through for me in the book is that there's so much about women coming forward and empowering women and women being strong and doing it for themselves. And you actually go back and explain it really well. It's a time, obviously, to do with the masculine and feminine energies, but why we are the way we are and why women are feeling the need to be the more masculine and taking control, and going back to the days when the men went out to hunt and the women stayed around and listened to each other. And something that really resonated me with regards to women, what do they want? But just going back to the point about it's all well and good. I didn't take that from that book. I'm all about women being empowering, but ultimately it's about not forgetting that men are a gift from God. Like men are meant here to, pick us up when we're down and comfort us and be there for us. And we're tricky specimens, aren't we?
Yeah,
Like,
really.
when you talk about how we just try and trip them up all the time.
Manipulate. We
Yeah.
manipulate. And I say it with love.
Yeah.
And the reason I can say it with love is because I have done it for 2 decades with my man, and I'm embarrassed to say it now. But it's only when you're awake to it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right? I was asleep to it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the things were that I was doing to him and how it impacted on him.
Yeah.
Right? And he was asleep to me. He didn't know the things that he was doing was impacting on me.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like women are from Venus, men are from Mars.
Yes.
That book, and that's something that came through to me when what you were saying about them. We're just so different, aren't we?
We're wired
Yeah.
completely different. Like
We say one thing, we mean another, but they're just so logical in wanting to
Totally.
give us the answer when it's about the journey for us, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, like you said in the
it's
book.
totally about the journey. For
Yeah.
men, it's from going from A to B.
Yeah.
Right? How do we get there as quick as possible without talking as much? Like, we don't need to talk. Just like, let's get there.
Yeah.
Right? For women, sometimes they don't even know where they want to go.
No.
There's no, like, they've not set the sat nav.
No.
They're more about, like, which is it? Let's smell the flowers on
Yeah.
the way. Like, how do we get there? Where are the flowers?
Yeah.
Let's go that way. And, oh, doesn't this feel good? Right?
Men are just like, come on.
Where are you going?
Let's get to the end.
And another analogy is, and it's a beautiful one, and it's, when a man goes shopping,
Yeah.
he goes with an intent, a purpose. I'm going to buy a pair of trousers today, and I know exactly which ones I want. I want to go get them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he knows which shop. He might have even done a bit of research on the internet, right?
Jacob's laughing. He knows
Jacob's laughing his head
exactly.
off, right? He might even have done a bit of research on the
Yeah.
internet, and he might even know which shop has his size,
Yeah.
right? Because he's not arsing around, in and out.
Yeah. 100%.
A woman,
Oh, wow.
when she goes shopping, and I'm generalising, ladies, I know not all, like, this is, when I've done all the research, right, I'm talking about 80%.
Yeah.
Of men and women,
Yeah.
okay?
Some women
There's
like to
always
go in and go out.
exceptions.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't particularly like shopping, if I'm honest. My
Yeah.
husband does.
Yeah.
So he makes it an experience for me. He buys
Okay.
everything that I wear.
So it's role reversal
It's-
with you
yeah,
too. Yeah.
in the shopping,
Yeah.
but not in other areas
Yeah.
in our life, right?
Okay.
Most women, when they go, I can't go shopping with my daughter. Oh my God. She will she's a Libra for a start. So she has to weigh up all the bloody options. Right. And she might go in not knowing what she wants to buy. And she'll be like, oh, let's go here.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Let's go here. And it won't be a logical pattern. She might go to one shop that's one end of town and then go to another shop that's other end of town because that might have the shoes that match this outfit. And then she'll go to the one that was next to the outfit, like
Yeah.
all over the freaking
End up at where she started.
and don't know
anyway.
where she started. And then she'll go, where was that dress at
Yeah.
the beginning? And actually, I might buy that dress, but actually what she went in for was a bracelet.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
And the man in her life's all over the frigging place and feels dizzy with it.
Yeah.
And often will end up sitting in one spot
Mm-hmm.
going, you just go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm
Definitely.
here. And I'll carry
Definitely.
the bags. And I'll provide for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about money. Yes, money is. But in this day and age, I can provide for myself.
Yeah.
I have my own income because I choose that, right?
Yeah.
And women can choose whether they do or don't want that. It's not about that,
Yeah.
right?
That's an interesting point, actually, because it's something that I wanted to acknowledge with regards to things and women, especially with the men that this book is aimed at, that have got a high-powered career, that are
Yes.
like millionaires or whatever.
Yes.
You know, they're
They're super successful
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
yeah, and they've got women at home that just buy things, and because they're looked after by them. And I myself was in that position.
Yeah.
And I was I mean, there's this little story here that my daughter, my eldest daughter, when she was younger, this is when I was a mum and I was shopping a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And she was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, a shopper like mummy. Now it
Wow.
mortified me because I didn't want her to like just aspire to grow up and be looked after and buy things. So I ended up starting doing like a kids' children's wear and clothing range, and then my middle daughter ended up. I seen her doing some like sketches of like this fashion design, and then I said, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And she said, somebody asked her. She said, "A fashion designer like mummy," and that just made my heart sing. Like, you know, because it's so important having girls for them to want to be something, to do something like that they're passionate about. But ultimately, I think there's so many, you know, when I mean, living in Cheshire, I think there's a lot of women that don't work, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of women have children, and that's the hardest job in the world at the end of the day. Yeah. But for me, it was really important for my children. And like you say, it's not about like even the money thing. It's about them seeing me doing something that fulfills me,
right?
And that I'm passionate about. Yeah, and that was what really resonated with me. My youngest then ended up writing this because I'd written my journal, my self-help journal, and then she written this little paragraph about believing in yourself, and you know, and it was just how that's gone through each of my children, and how they've perceived me differently through the stages of my life. And obviously I hope they'll still look at me now and think, you know, be so proud of me, because I'm proud of myself. You know, the things that I've achieved when I look back, especially over the last 6-7 years. I've been on a huge journey, and I've grown, and that's the most important. If we're not growing, we're not learning, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, then what's the point? But it's about having somebody that's going to be there to support you, to lean on, to ask questions of support and, you know, advice. And, you know, it is so important. It's all right being that strong-minded woman, but the trick is, which is great in this book, is for the man to understand when to intervene and when to put his foot down, or when to make them decisions to make us feel safe. That is one thing that really was amazing in the book. We want to feel safe.
So firstly, I want to congratulate you and acknowledge you, because you decided that you were going to be a greater role model, right? Yeah. And you turned it around. And just that story alone tells us that, listen, if you're hearing this and it's resonating with you, anything is possible. The key lesson in all of this is live your dream, live your purpose, live your passion.
Live your purpose,
If it doesn't make you feel good, you're doing the wrong thing. Turn around, you're just swimming upstream.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't have to cost the earth. But you felt in your heart that you weren't creating the right role model for your daughters. Yeah. And you turned it around.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that I want to acknowledge you and congratulate you, because you could have easily have said, oh, well, it doesn't matter. She'll work out what she wants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is what this book is about. It's about role models, and it's about helping you understand. And I want to give you a little snippet from the book to help people understand. You mentioned safety. And it's interesting. When I realised this, it blew my mind. And what it is, what I'm about to share with you, is the key fundamental differences that men and women run their lives by, and they don't know it.
No. Oblivious.
They're totally oblivious, right?
Yeah.
And when you understand this, you can really see why men behave the way they do and women behave the way they do.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But like when you read of it, it blows your freaking mind.
Penny drops. Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So I want to share it today, because I do want to leave the audience with some golden nuggets.
Is it the Tony Robbins story?
It's the Tony Robbins story. And actually, let me do the story first and then I'll share it. Okay?
Okay.
So The Tony Robbins story, let's start with that. I don't know how long we've got, but I'll keep it as brief as,
No, you're all right.
as possible, right? Sometimes I end up doing 2 parts to podcasts because...
Did they was it filmed? It wasn't on his thingy, was it? You know, the documentary that he did?
It wasn't on his documentary. It was after his documentary. It wasn't filmed because it was... If that is the one intervention that hasn't been aired because it was so... shocking,
Really?
is the word.
Yeah, reading it was like, because he can be a powerful man, can he? And when people stand up, I remember I went to Unleash
The Power Within.
Yeah, in London, and there was a lady that stood up. I think he was asking who's depressed. And this lady stood up and she was smiling and then he's just come over and he was just started saying. She was clearly just wanting the attention. She wasn't, suicide. I think it was asked who was suicidal.
Yeah.
And he went through her like a dose of salt. Like, I wanted the ground to swallow me up, never mind her. But he just brings your darkest
He brings the
shadows
fire
out of you, doesn't he?
He brings the fire.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to make you uncomfortable.
No.
Right? No. Because his desire is that if you are in uncomfortableness, you'll move and grow.
Yes.
Because something you said earlier, if you're not growing and learning, what's the point, right? And he has a phrase that he says, if you're not growing, you may as well be dead.
True.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so what happened with Tony was we were in our 20th year of our marriage, and I'll just do a little context for people to understand. And we'd reached a point, my husband's a serial entrepreneur. The first 10 years of our life, I was the main breadwinner. And then it flicked, the switch flicked as we had children, and I still worked, but his businesses took off.
Yeah.
Right? And I still earn a very good salary. I don't need to, but I do it for me, and I do it because I'm fulfilling my passion and my dream. Mm-hmm. And we decided on our 25th wedding anniversary that we would plan our exit strategy like a business. And we decided it for our 25th wedding anniversary because our 2 daughters would be adults then. And so we set about splitting the assets, literally like you would a business. Yeah. Right? Totally emotionless. Like, the properties and, we'd got a good portfolio at that point. And anyway, 22nd year of our marriage, and you can imagine things are not great. Pass the salt kind of information going on, scratch and itch kind of intimacy, right? And that
scratch and itch.
It is basically, is it not? Right?
Yeah.
Scratch and itch kind of sex, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it as it is, right? And this is how I coach, actually. I'm very abrupt and very straightforward because I believe that I don't deserve bullshit, and so I don't give out bullshit.
Yeah.
I expect results fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And that's what the book is.
Yeah.
And so I ended up on our 22nd year of marriage, I ended up leaving the NHS. I'd worked for the NHS for 22 years, had an incredible career. And my husband had always said, you need to go private. And I'd been doing a private clinic alongside the NHS for 7 years, but I actually let go of my comfort blanket and went full pelt into my business. Yeah. Got a business coach. She introduced me to Tony Robbins. Cut a long story short, he was in London, UPW, Unleash the Power Within. Soon as I got there, it's the first time I've ever met him. Ended up signing up for something called Platinum Partners, which is, for those of you who don't know, it is an elite group of people that travel around the world with him for 12 months. He also has 3 Pacific events for Platinum Partners in the year. And
wow,
it's a huge investment.
Yes.
And I remember it was my birthday, and I remember ringing my husband up at midnight after the event. The event goes on for 10 hours. Sometimes you don't know how long. Tony doesn't have an agenda. You don't have pee breaks. You don't have lunch breaks,
No.
nothing. You just go.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember being at the London one.
Yes.
It's like you're scared to leave because you don't want to
Miss anything. Yeah. He gets you walking on hot coals on the
Yeah.
first day. You're a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, cool
Kumas,
moss.
Kumas. Yeah. For those of you, that's an inside joke.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So you had to say over and over to walk across them. You trick your brain into thinking that you're walking over cool moss, not hot coals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an incredible event.
Yeah.
And I ended up signing for Platinum Partners. I rang my husband up at midnight and I said to him, babe, I've done something crazy. Please do not shout at me. Please do not shout at me. Now, he doesn't shout. I just interpret it as shouting, right? And he said to me, now bearing in mind, we're planning our divorce. It's the first time I've ever been away from home. I live in Manchester. This was in London. I'd never travelled alone on my own without my kids, right? Hindsight, thinking back, he's probably thinking I'm having an affair. I've gone off with somebody, right? And I said to him, I've done something crazy. I've joined something called, and I vomited it out, Platinum Partners, and it cost at that time $75,000.
Ooh.
And I literally vomited it out. The reality of it is it costs double that because you have to pay for the other events, the 3 separate events. You have to pay for all your flights, all your accommodation around the freaking world.
Wow.
And I just started my business, Leanne. So I wasn't really, like, I was making money,
Yeah.
but not that kind of money.
No.
Like a coaching business,
Yeah.
right?
Jeez.
Right?
What did he say?
So this is the first lesson. I'm going to talk through the 3 lessons that I learned.
Yeah.
The first lesson, this was it. This beautiful man who's splitting the assets, making it so that I will never have to want for anything and have a roof over my head, right? Working his ass off, just acquired a new business. This beautiful man turned around and he said, listen, babe, 22 years ago, you took a job so I could follow my dream and my vision, and you supported me emotionally, financially. You provided me with 2 beautiful daughters. Even when you didn't want children, you did that for me. So the way I see this is, this is a time for us to invest in you and your business and your dream.
I want to cry.
Right?
So sweet.
Right? That's what he
And you
did.
were divorcing at this point.
Yeah, we were splitting, right? We were still living together and still having scratch the itch kind of intimacy, right? But past the salt kind of conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he said to me. That was lesson number 1. What am I not seeing? Lesson number 2. The event, the reason I joined Platinum Partners is because I wanted to go to an event called Relationship in Maui in October. It's the only event that you can take your partner to,
Yeah.
right? And this is how the universe will always provide you with a challenge, an opportunity to grow, I call them.
Yeah.
This event was at the exact same time as his brand new business that he'd acquired, biggest trade show in Cannes.
Thanks.
So he had a choice.
Yeah.
Does he let down 150 employees as the brand new CEO, including his family, because it was a family business that he'd taken over?
Ouch.
Family is his highest value. We're Indian. So when we talk about family, it starts with our parents, right?
Yeah.
Or does he let down his wife? And does it look like he's going on a jolly with his wife to Hawaii? Does he choose love or work? Now, bearing in mind the story that I'd told myself, our whole relationship was that he was having an affair. And that affair was with his work.
Yeah.
That his work was a priority over me, right? Lesson number 2, he chose love. The frigging man came to an event that he doesn't even know who Tony Robbins is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to an event where you fly all across the world, you don't even know who this guy is, right?
Yeah.
And so he came to the event. The first day, Tony says in the room, there's 500 people in the room. He says in the room, who is here and doesn't want to be here? And Tony does this gesture. He puts his arm around his back as if to say, you've had your arm twisted to get here.
Yeah.
3 people stand up. My man's one of them. Now, this is when I talk about in the book,
Yeah.
the masculine and feminine, right?
Yeah.
I was split and I didn't know about masculine and feminine energy then. And I felt a split in my body. Half of me was, sit down, you idiot. You're showing me up in front of all my friends. That was the masculine.
Yeah.
And the feminine part of me was like, my God,
He's got the balls to
he's
do
got
that.
the balls to do this. This beautiful man doesn't give 2 hoots who he's standing up against for what he believes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So goddamn sexy.
Yeah.
Right? Holy shit. Like, take me now.
No more scratching itch.
Exactly. Right? Oh my God. So Tony, I'm getting all flustered now thinking about it. I'm getting a hot flush. So this I just have to shake a bit. This beautiful man stands up and Tony, I'm blushing. Tony, just give me a moment because I've gone somewhere else. So Tony looks Atul in the eye and there was this moment of male respect and honour. It was like time stood still.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked him in the eye, man to man, and he said to him, I understand. He said, but all I ask of you is, if you can keep an open mind, you can leave at any time.
Yeah.
And because the way he looked at Atul man to man, honestly, it's one of those moments that I'll never forget because the electricity of the energy and the honour and respect, 2 warriors stood before me, right? And Atul said, yes, I can do that, right? So he sat down. Now, lesson number 3 arised on day 2 because day 1 evening we had a big fight. We're in Maui, a bucket list place of mine, in relationship. It's all beautiful, right? We're being taught all sorts of things about intimacy and homework and trying it out in the evening, and me and him are fighting.
Yeah. Not ideal.
Not ideal. So the next day, looking back, I behaved like the bitch from hell. And I said to him, you sit somewhere else. We're done. I told you we were done.
Because you went to bed early. He didn't want to.
Exactly. He went to bed early. Didn't want to party with my friends.
Yeah.
He'd been travelling the frigging world for 48 hours.
Yeah.
He was knackered.
Yeah.
He'd taken on a brand new company, a global company. He was travelling to each office to make himself, to get a relationship with his staff, right? And to do an audit, to evaluate, right? He was bloody knackered.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was like, go sit somewhere else. I don't want you anywhere near me. I sat on the front row with my platinum partner friends, full of significance, right? Not my friends, me, full of significance.
Yeah.
Right? He sat somewhere else. The whole day he's trying to pacify me and come and make it right. And he hated me being angry. And I literally had resting bitch face on all day. Right? Anyway, end of the day, 10:30 at night, Tony's done a full stint on brilliant day. Tony sat at the back of the room because there's a speaker on the screen, Esther Perel. She does her piece. She's a brilliant relationship expert. She does her piece. And I stand up and make a comment. I'm on the front row. stand up, all 5'2.5" in me, and make a comment. And I say, great. So what you're saying is you don't have to forgive. 1 point for me, right? Put a gesture up, with my hand, draw a 1 in the air, looking at my husband, saying, see? When you've said something wrong in the room, all the energy in the room just,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At that time, I had really short hair, and I felt all the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And all I could feel was this, from the back of the room, fee, fi, fo, fum. It literally was like the giant. And it was Tony coming down the room, bellowing, where is Dimple? Right? And for those of you who don't know who Tony Robbins is, you really do not want to be in this position. Go check him out. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this intervention. So I stood up again.
Well, you did when you said what you said.
Yeah, basically. Oh, gosh, I'm getting hot talking about it. So basically what happened was I stood up, and it was like slow-mo. I stood up and he comes round, and it's like he's 6'7", I'm 5'2.5". Half matters, right? He comes round. He comes round, and he stands over me, and it's like this horse head. That's all I can picture is this horse head coming over me, and he starts laying into me, Leanne. I can't tell you, right? There's platinum partners that have been there for 15 years, and they've never felt this intensity and seen this intensity with Tony. He was pissed.
Yeah.
Proper pissed, right? Now, I have to say, right, as this is airing, I want everybody to know there was no way or any cell in my body that felt scared or intimidated or felt bullied by Tony, because I felt his integrity and his honour. He was trying to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was actually doing was mirroring my masculine energy.
Yeah.
So imagine how intense my masculine energy had been.
Yeah.
Right? So he was literally a guy fighting a guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't comfortable for him to do that. And so here's the third and the most powerful lesson that I learnt. Because all while he was doing that, there was something that I didn't notice. And within a minute of Tony basically attacking, because that's what he was bringing out, the masculine, right? Because it's what I needed.
Were you saying anything?
No, I was frozen. I can send you some pictures. I was frozen, right? And what happened was, it took for Tony Robbins to stop what he was doing, turn around, and see that my beautiful man was coming down the aisle, chest out, ready to fight. Like full on ready to fight. And it took for Tony to stop and say, is this the man you're talking about not forgiving? And he put his arm around Atul, my beautiful husband, put his arm around him, and he said, I effing love this brother. He has more courage in his body than you've ever shown. He's walking down here to take me out, to protect you.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks to his woman like that. It was like,
yeah.
Because it was in that moment, Leanne, I never noticed the very thing that I had in my feminine body desired the whole time we'd been together was to feel safe and feel protected and provided for. was the very thing that he'd been doing the whole time and I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't noticed, what else had I not noticed? Right?
Yeah.
And that intervention went on for 2 hours, resulting in me going on my hands and knees and begging for forgiveness in front of 500 people, and him promising he would never allow me to be in that place again, and me promising that I would never dishonour him in that way again. And the message I want to leave you with is three things. And that is, all a woman desires in her relationship is to feel safe, and she gets that from feeling heard and seen.
Yes, absolutely.
If she can feel heard and seen, she will feel safe. So you'll often hear women say, "You're not listening. You're not hearing me. I don't feel as though you're hearing me."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And men, all men want, their top 3 needs in a relationship is, the first one is sex. And I know that
The 4 things that you said, like was it the gut, heart?
yes, the way they make decisions.
Yeah, ego, gut,
gut,
heart.
Head, heart, gut, dick.
But not in that order.
No. Those are the decision centers that you're talking about in my book, right?
Okay.
Those are the decision centers. But what I'm actually talking about right now is, what are the drivers? Our drivers are to feel safe.
Yeah.
The top one for us is to feel safe, and we feel safe when we're seen and heard, because when we're in a tribe, right, our human brain hasn't evolved that much
Yeah.
from being in a tribe.
Sister circles are
It's
coming
the
back,
circle.
though. Yeah.
We sit in coffee shops in circles.
Yeah.
We talk and we look at each other because we feel safe.
Yeah. And we just listen to
And we
each
listen to each other
Yeah.
because we feel safe. We're not about solving the problem.
Yes.
Right? We're
Yeah.
about, how can we feel safe in this circle? Because we've got each other's back. Because when we're sat in the villages, in the tribes, when we're looking and hearing each other, we're looking out to see if everybody's children are safe. We're looking out to see if we're safe. We're watching each other's backs. Right?
Yeah.
A man, his driver is, sex is first because he's designed to procreate. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way his brain is wired, right? He's designed to feel respect, right? He's designed, his driver is praise.
Yeah.
He will feel honoured and respected if he's acknowledged and praised, right? So what we need to understand as women is, if we can get it in our heads, right, that safety for us is the same as sex for them. Let that land.
Yeah.
Safety for us is the same as sex for them, right? It's not a bad thing. Now, an evolved man isn't going to make all his decisions with his dick. Like an evolved woman isn't going to make all her decisions with safety in mind. She's going to take risks, calculated risks. He's going to take calculated risks. So using his 4 decision centers, his head, his heart, his gut, his dick, will determine the outcome of those decisions.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I realized was, there are 3 things that I was doing as a woman, and I had no impact that it was demasculating him. I was ripping his balls out. Now, granted, he had to give them me on a plate in order to rip them out. It's a 2-way system, right? But what I'm going to give the ladies today is this. And if you can hear this from a place of love and not criticism, not hope, I want to empower you to be in your power.
Yeah.
Right? And that is, when we criticize our men, when we say, don't do it like that, stop being an idiot, don't do it like that, that's not how you do it. Oh, give it here, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
When we coach, what do I mean? When we tell them how we think they should do it.
Yeah.
I remember telling my husband, no, you don't like that doesn't go, those trousers don't go with that. Put like, no, he's a grown-ass man. He can wear what he wants. And then the third thing, which I was so guilty of, and I still am at times because it's my instinct. So don't beat yourself up, women. Just catch yourself. It's something called closing. And the way we close is we shut them down energetically. We disconnect. We deny them of affection. We deny them of sex. We deny them. We say we're fine. I'm fine. Well, everybody in the planet knows that you're not.
That was interesting when you said about don't get me flowers, they're a waste of money, and then he never bought you flowers again.
Yeah. Yeah. And we
It's like read
communicate.
between the lines.
Yeah. Exactly. And they can't. They have a logical brain.
Yeah. And booking the restaurant, that was a very interesting one. Yeah. If he says, I'll book the restaurant, and then you say, no, I'd like to go here.
Yeah.
Should I book it? Wanting them to go, no, I'll sort it out. But then they just pass it over so easily, don't they? Because then they're fearful of not getting it right, I suppose.
Because in the past, we have criticised their choices.
Yeah.
We've said, well, why did you book this? This wasn't where I wanted to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely
We want
guilty of that.
it.
But what I feel though, I feel that I always get shut down. Like nothing that I say is relevant or, never gets taken on board. But then if somebody else was to walk in the room and to say exactly the same thing, it'd be, oh yeah, that's interesting.
And the reason for it, Leanne, when you I spent 4 years obsessively understanding the differences between men and women. Mm-hmm. And the reason for it is a lot of the time women take it personally, right? And it's because we are putting our reference of how we think it should be on them. Our brains are different. Have you ever tried using a BlackBerry when you're used to an iPhone?
Yeah.
It's a completely different operating system, right? A man will go to a respected source of information. And he will only see a respected source of information.
So that makes me mad though, because then it's
Just
like...
wait.
Go on.
He will only see a respected source of information by somebody who has given him respect and honour.
Right.
So if we constantly are criticising, coaching and closing unbeknownst to ourselves, I did it for 2 decades. Why would he come to me for my opinion? I don't respect or honour him in his brain.
Yeah.
Because the way you honour and respect a man is to acknowledge and praise and not criticise, close and shut him down.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want to be a accredited opinion and source of information for him, you have to respect and honour him in a way that lands for him. So all the years of criticising which restaurant he chose, all the years of me criticising, and I'm talking about me, criticising that he picked the wrong flowers.
So I used to pick all my own presents.
Right. I actually, and I don't know whether I wrote it in the book or not, but I spent years throwing presents back in his face.
Yeah.
He bought me Gucci bracelets and I said, I don't want these effing bracelets.
Oh.
Threw them. The only reason I can write this book is because I've lived it.
Yeah.
Right? And I woke up.
Yeah.
And I want the wake up for all women and men. So it's not about, well, he does this, he does that. It's about taking responsibility of what you did.
Yeah, of course.
And I guarantee you, and I've seen this with all my one-to-one clients, within one session of working with me, it's turned around. Mm-hmm. Because we talk about the truth, right?
Yeah.
We talk about, and I work with high-powered men and women, they're couples. Mm-hmm. Women who all they've ever wanted was attention, to be seen, to be heard. And when you're married to an entrepreneur whose focus is protecting and providing for his family, I didn't know that about men. All they want is to protect and provide. And the way he sees that is going out and bringing home the bacon. Literally bringing home the bacon. He doesn't see that, and my husband's guilty of this, he didn't see that my love language is touch and time. So if he's at work from 6 a.m. till midnight, when is he going to touch and spend time with me? Quality time. Because I was deprived of that.
You've changed the locks. It's like, wow, that's extreme.
Yeah, that's for the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some, I put it on the line. I open my soul. I bear it all.
Yeah.
In service of hopefully men and women will relate.
Yeah.
Right? My next book that I'm writing at the moment is for women.
Good. I can't wait for that one.
It's for women.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, Leanne, today that you've actually said this is helpful for women as well.
It is, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I want you to be able to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
I want women to be, because women are, and men are throwing healthy relationships away just because they're ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, it's, the one thing that clients say to me is, Dimple, I wish I'd have met you 10 years ago because I'd still be married to the mother of my children. I wouldn't have gone through that messy divorce. And, you know, this data shows that 50% of marriages fail. But what we don't know is that of the 50% that fail, 70% of them say that had they have had the right tools and strategies, they could have saved their marriages.
But they have to want to.
They have to want to.
They have to work at it.
And the other thing I often hear is that, well, what if they don't want to work at it? How can we fix it? And I say to people, until you've done the work and you've done everything you can in your heart of hearts to work at it, and you can actually say, yep, I've learned about everything about men, I've learned about everything about women, and I've become that woman to firstly get what I want, and then secondly, hope that it will magnetize the man that I desire. And if it still doesn't, then you go. I was lucky it did. He shifted. But I had to do the frigging, I had to learn all this shit. And every day I have to. Every day I have to eat humble pie because it's ongoing. And I just say this with so much love because in my work that I do, probably 90% stay together, but there is 10% that I actually say it's time. Because Esther Perel did a brilliant quote, and what she said was, in your lifetime, you'll probably have 3 partners because we evolve. I'm not the 17-year-old that I am now, right? Like I'm 30 years on.
Yeah.
And she says, you'll have 3 partners. And hopefully they'll be the same with the same person. They might not be, and that's okay. But you have to have hand on your heart known that, do you know what? I did everything. I did everything I can. And we've grown apart and he's not ready and it's okay. Or most of my clients are surprised at how quickly it's turned around. Because when you give them what they need, they can't help but give you what you need. Ask any man on this planet, a feminine woman, if she asks for help, whoever it is, he will drop everything to protect that woman, even if it's not his woman. Right?
Yeah.
Would you say that's right, Jacob? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, what to say? Yeah. Oh, well, I really did love it. I really did love reading it, and I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to the women's version of it. I think I'll learn so much more as well. It's definitely, obviously, it's about men and their sort of stages in life and things, but ultimately it is very, very insightful for women because it's been written by a woman who's been there, done that. Like you're saying, it's not about, you know, degrading women and telling women that they're doing everything wrong, and you know, and it's about, like you say, you've had a high-powered career, you've earned the money, and but it's getting the balance right, isn't it? And knowing when to bringing that femininity and want that. It's a partnership at the end of the day.
100%.
And that's the most important thing. And both parties have to be in it together to understand each other. So, and only then it works.
Yeah.
And we go through phases of life as women as well.
Yes.
And it's usually when, you were saying in the book, when we hit menopause is when they're going through their midlife crisis. So it's like the fireworks everywhere. So that's the crux of when you do have to put the work in, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
And I would even say before that, Leanne, I would say there's another phase, and I call it the de-emasculation phase, which is usually when, and I talk about the life cycle of a man. It usually clashes with a time in a man's life when he has to go and hunt and provide. At the same time, a woman that's the time usually when you've got young children. Mm-hmm. And I call it the de-emasculation phase.
Yeah.
Right? That's when the fight starts. That's when, and it can be healed very quickly, but I honestly believe, and it's Mother Nature, I say this with love, we need to lead.
Yeah.
Because we're the stronger power.
Yeah.
But we're powerful in our feminine.
Yeah.
Not our
And we
masculine.
still need them.
And we still need them.
Yeah.
Of course we do,
Yeah.
because the whole point these days, modern relationships, the point is not to, in the olden days, in our grandparents, the grandfathers would protect and provide and the women would nurture and care. Nowadays, we don't need men to protect and provide in the same way. They don't need women to nurture and care. We can get a cleaner, right? Modern relationships now, the focus is love. But what we forget is our brains are still wired for the caveman.
Yeah.
So we do need them and they need us.
Yeah.
Because when the work is in doing yourself first, I went into our marriage thinking he was going to fix me, thinking he was going to complete my jigsaw.
Yeah.
When they say the other half, it's not the other half.
It's 2 holes.
2 holes bring incredibleness, exponential growth.
Yeah. Incredible. So, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for coming on. And the book is out on
The 19th of November, International Men's Day.
Oh, wow. Timed that well.
And on that day, you can get it for 99 pence
Oh, wow.
as the Kindle version.
Yeah.
And please, please, please download it then and get it for night. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it is because that will support it becoming a #1 bestseller.
Yes.
So if you can do that, please, please, please put a review in. I'd really appreciate your support in getting this message out there, not for me, but for our future generations, so they have fantastic role models
Exactly.
of beautiful couples. Because my mission is, do you know that old couple in their 80s and you notice them because they're holding hands and they're all lovey-dovey and gorgeous? I want that to be the norm.
Yeah. Very lovely. Yeah. Don't see it very often.
No.
Absolutely. And the website is launching as well.
So the new website, I'm going to put it out there as well, is dimpleglobal.com.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. It's my 3rd rebrand. And I feel like I've nailed it. I've grown so much.
Yeah.
So dimpleglobal.com.
Perfect.
And that's where you'll get all my social media handles. All of that.
We'll put them on at the bottom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you taking the information in the way it was intended.
Yeah.
You have such an open heart and mind, and God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too.